Hey there, welcome to Teams That Swear. I'm Adrian Balarjan, author of Teams That Swear by Each Other and Not About Each Other. I believe the strength of any organization comes down to one thing, and that's how well its people work together, and especially how well an organization's leadership team work together. Now, if you're looking for genuine strategies that actually work, you've come to the right place. This podcast is about cutting through the noise, getting to the heart of what makes teams tick, and giving tools you can use today. Lately, the term number one seems to be popping up everywhere. In leadership conversations, in sports, and even at home. But what does it really mean to be number one in a leadership team? And are leaders focusing on the right number one? Let me set the scene. Recently, my wife celebrated her 29th birthday. Her 29th. Anyways, our kids gave her a card, and two of them signed off with, "From your number one child." Now, the competition in our house is real. In another context, I helped coach a junior baseball team that won the state championships. Number one, baby. That was us. And of course, regardless of what sport is taking place, the battle for number one is constantly on full display. At the 2024 Olympics, Paris saw 329 gold medals handed out, each one representing the pinnacle of an athlete's dedication and drive. But here's the twist. One of the most talked about moments from those Olympics wasn't about the winning gold. It was actually the battle for second place. In the men's pole vaulting event, Sweden's Armando Duplantis was the clear favorite. No one was beating him. So the real drama came from who would take silver. Now, while Duplantis cleared a record-breaking 6.25 meters, four other athletes, including Australia's Curtis Marshall, were battling for second place. In the end, American Sam Kendricks took silver with a vault of 5.95 meters, while Marshall finished fourth. Which got me thinking, what happens when being number one in the wrong way actually holds people back? And how does this apply to leadership teams? In Patrick Lencioni's book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, he introduces the idea of Team 1 versus Team 2. Team 1 is the leadership team you are part of. Team 2, he says, is the team that you lead. Now, here's the problem. Too often, leaders of leaders prioritize team number 2, the people who report to them, over team number 1, which in a lot of cases are their fellow executives. Now, to the defense of all you senior leaders who focus more on their team 1 than team 1, or more on their team number 2 than team 1, this makes sense. Your own team offers or often demands more of your time. You feel responsible for their success, and their work is directly linked to yours. But when team number 1, the senior leadership team, does not work well together, it filters down, or in many cases, it pours down to team 2s, team 3s, and beyond. And it has a way bigger impact than if your team 2 isn't working well. Now, I've seen first happen what happens when leadership teams do not act as a united front. Take this leadership team behavior, for example. 2 of the 6 senior leaders, so a third of the leaders, did not get along to the point where they avoided attending the same meetings. Now, eventually, both of those people left. One left on their own accord, the other was exited. Now, one of our leadership team workouts, after they left, their replacements, people who had been promoted from Team 2s, shared just how much that dysfunction impacted the rest of the department. They shared that there was so much time spent on that in-house fighting that created tension for everyone. Team members felt pressured to take sides instead of focusing on what mattered and doing the right thing. And as a result, one of the two Team 1 members estimated that they were only operating at 50% of their potential at their best. That ripple effect of a fractured Team 1 is massive. Now, this new leadership team, which had 2 new leaders on it, they made the deliberate choice to focus on how they work together. Less than 2 years later, their engagement scores jumped on average, every single measurement, by at least 36%. Some metrics even improved by over 100%. And why? Simply because they decided to prioritize their team number 1. Now, why is it easier for leadership teams or leaders to focus more on Team 2? Well, for starters, Team 2 feels more urgent. The people who report to you need decisions, they need guidance, and they need your direction. Their work also connects to yours, and you can see their results firsthand, and it feels like you've made a difference there. But I'll tell you what, if Team 1 is not aligned, all that effort in Team 2 is just spinning wheels. Without a strong leadership team who are aligned in mature relationships, everything and everyone below them struggles. That's why great leadership teams don't just focus on what they do together, they focus on how they work together. So how do you make sure your Team 1 is actually operating as a Team 1? Here are 3 tips to strengthen how your leadership team does teamwork. Tip number 1, get clear on why your leadership team exists. Most leadership teams never actually stop and ask themselves, why are we actually a team? Is it just a group of individual leaders running separate departments? Or is it a united leadership group working towards a bigger goal, which each person in that team is invested more than their individual outputs? Great leadership teams align on purpose, not just for the company purpose, but for themselves. Here's something to ask yourself. Why does this leadership team need to work together? What is the role of our leadership group in making our department and our business stronger? If the answer isn't clear and people aren't aligned, that's the first problem to fix. Tip number 2, define the behaviors that will drive success of Team 1. Everyone would agree that having a vision is great, but how you work together matters just as much. Your team should agree on key behaviors that will help make or break success. Now, the key to bringing these behaviors alive is to make them specific and observable. I'm going to say that again. They need to be specific, we know that, but they have to be observable. If you agree we need to communicate better, that's too vague. What does that even mean, and how will everyone know that everyone is communicating better? Instead, something more tangible and trackable looks like we commit to attending all weekly leadership team meetings face-to-face. Or if listening and respecting each other is something you think is critical to the team winning, what are the things that you would see, the things that you would hear that demonstrate that people are actually listening and respecting each other? Identify those and make those non-negotiable. And tip number 3, to improve how your Team 1 works together, put the time into building stronger relationships. In leadership teams, relationships matter most, and connected teams win. You think about every sports team. What do they say in their post-championship win interview? They always refer to this as such a special group of people. We're so close to each other. And guess what? That doesn't happen by accident. There's so many stories of winning teams who implement connection activities to truly understand each individual, and they do this throughout the year. That connection, those relationships do not happen by accident. Connection happens because leaders are deliberate about making it happen. Now, I often hear this saying, I'm not at work to make friends. But here's the truth. Gallup research has proven that if you actually like the people you work with, you're more engaged, everyone's more productive, and less likely to waste time on ego-driven conflicts. So while you don't have to be best mates with your Team 1 colleagues, if you want to influence and innovate more broadly, you need to build real relationships that help you get better. Because high trust teams make better decisions and much quicker. Now, here's a final thought for you. Is your Team 1 actually behaving like a Team 1? Your leadership team's effectiveness determine how successful your function, department, or company will be. So ask yourself these questions. Does our leadership team actually work together, or do we just coexist? Do we prioritize Team 1, or are we just really focused on running our own departments? And lastly, are we focused on winning together, or just getting through another meeting and making sure that I'm ticking my own box? Prioritizing Team 1 isn't a one-time exercise. It's an ongoing commitment. For some teams, the challenge is making time for each other. For others, it's about using that time better. But when you get it right, your Team 1 shines. And that creates a ripple effect where every team below it shines too. All right, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks for joining me on Teams That Swear. If today's conversation sparked a thought, a question, or maybe even a new perspective, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you're ready to transform how your team works together, reach out. I'd love to help. Because teams that swear by each other and not about each other don't happen by chance. They happen with intentional, deliberate action, and the first step starts with you.